The definition for innovation is bringing forth a new idea, method, or device. It's generally thought of as an improvement to something that already existed, or creating something new where nothing else existed before. Invention, on the other hand, is a device or a process that originates from study, experimentation, or imagination. The two ideas are similar, but they have some distinctions. I just love this section of the book. The author starts with a story about chocolate and ends in one involving the creation of Doritos. So let's take a look at a little bit of the ideas from this book tonight. He opens up with a section with a story of a man named Percy Spencer. Now, Percy Spencer was a self-taught physicist who was working on shortwave radio waves in the 1940s when he made a startling discovery. Percy loved chocolate bars, and he always carried one of them in his shirt pocket. Well, one day when he went to get his chocolate bar from his pocket, he noticed that it was all melted. And that was perplexing to him because it wasn't a hot day and he didn't feel like he was terribly warm, so he couldn't figure out how it had melted. But after a few times of this very same thing reoccurring, Percy began to notice that his chocolate bar always melted when he stood in front of the equipment he was working on. And so after doing what any good physicist would do and began to experiment with that, he soon realized that it was the short waves that were coming from the machine that was actually melting his chocolate. And so he began working to modify the short wave radio waves into what we now know as microwaves, and very soon developed the first microwave oven. Percy went on to receive over 300 patents and numerous awards for his invention. Oftentimes invention or innovation seems to happen by accident or by a set of lucky circumstances. Percy Spencer was doing the work on radio waves and accidentally melted his chocolate bar, which led to the discovery of the microwave and all of the thousands of uses that we have now received over the last 6 or 7 decades from being able to implement microwaves into our lives. There are a lot of myths and thoughts about innovation. Tom Triumph lists several of them in his book. Let's go in and explore a little bit of these. His first myth that he talks about is that geniuses must work alone. Well, the truth is that it's difficult to do this work of creativity on our own. It can happen, but it's not as easy as it is if we have someone else to work with and to collaborate with. Teamwork and collaboration and a shared desire to bring forth something new are invaluable tools, even if the initial idea comes from one individual. Having others involved is essential to the evolution of the idea. Innovation happens somewhere else. We don't think it can happen where we are. And the truth is, innovation can happen anywhere. You don't have to be in a laboratory or in some hidden secret government facility. That divine spark of inspiration doesn't really care where you're located or what, if any, kind of laboratory you have. It can happen anywhere at any time. Innovation always happens in the flash of a moment. Well, great ideas can happen in a moment. Great ideas can hit you like a 2x4 right out of the blue. But innovation and invention, that takes time. It takes time to move from that one idea, to move something from thought into form. And it takes time to perfect that form into something usable. So the idea can happen in the flash. But to actually begin to create something new out of it, that takes time. Another myth is only large companies with vast resources can innovate. Well, that's actually the opposite of the truth for innovation and invention. It is more often likely that little companies will create something new that the world is longing for, something that changes the entire world. And then they grow to become big companies from that initial idea. We can look all around us to find examples of this. Companies that started off very small and grew into a huge conglomerates that they are today. I can think of Amazon right off the bat. Amazon began in a garage and is built into one of the largest organizations in our world. Another myth is that you have to be educated at some prestigious university to be innovative or to be an inventor. As I said at the beginning, Percy Spencer did not attend university. He was self-taught. He read books, and he taught himself calculus and chemistry. He taught himself physics and engineering. He taught himself from nothing. In fact, he didn't even get past primary school at all. He started working at the age of 12. Now, Benjamin Franklin had 2 years of formal schooling. Thomas Edison had 3 months. Steve Jobs, Mark Zuckerberg, and Bill Gates all dropped out of college. They didn't finish their formal education. Now, this doesn't mean that formal education and university training can't be helpful, but they are not a requirement for success, nor are they a requirement for creativity, innovation, or invention. Another myth is your past history with innovation and invention determine your future success. Again, that's not true. The world is full of examples of people who continue to innovate and create after having huge, disappointing setbacks and failures with previous inventions. I'm often reminded of the story of Thomas Edison, who says that he spent 1,000 times failing for every single success that he had. He invented 1,000 light bulbs that didn't work before he found the one that did. And the final myth here that I want to talk about is that you cannot turn on your innovative thinking. That you either have it or you don't. There's no way to turn it off or on. There's a mistaken belief that those who create are born creative. That they have an innate ability to bring forth something new and fabulous, and only they have it. There's a belief that this only happens to a few select people. But the truth is it's available to all of us, and it's always there to ways to cultivate our innovative thinking. We have numerous things that we can do, practices that we can engage in, which help spark that innovative thinking, help us delve into our creativity, help us find an outlet for it. Some of the biggest companies in the world rely on those techniques to bring forth new products and new ideas. I love hearing about companies like Google and Apple and Microsoft that have these huge think tanks and places for people to be creative in a different way. They have break rooms that are set up for people to step outside of their normal day-to-day experience and be in an environment that is unique and different, because that's where many ideas come from. Oftentimes, they're not coming from a person sitting at a desk in front of a computer, but they're coming from someone who's out taking a walk or exercising on a bike or playing a video game. Those moments when we step outside of ourselves can create a new experience for us in how we perceive things and allow creativity to flow a little greater. So one of the things that Tom Triumph talks about in his book are the 20 greatest inventions of all time. And I love the list that he came up with here. Most of them I agree with. I mean, I think I could have added a few extra on here because I thought they were important for me. But here's the list of 20 greatest inventions of all time. We have the wheel, the printing press, the plow, cement. I wouldn't have thought of that, but, think about all of the homes that could not be built, all the buildings and streets and everything else that could not be existing, that would not exist without it. Cement holds things together. We have the steam engine, penicillin, the light bulb, the lens, and paper, and, of course, one of the things that we've been using a lot in the last couple of years, vaccines. The computer, the telephone, the internet, or the World Wide Web. The automobile, the flush toilet. Thank goodness for the flush toilets. I just got to say no more than that. Anesthesia, absolutely. The airplane, semiconductors, the radio, and genetics. He based his 20 greatest inventions of all time on the effect that they've had on people, on how they've helped the world. Because that's a key component to when we are thinking about innovating and invention. Is it something that's going to be beneficial in our world? Is it going to give more benefit than it is going to cause any harm? That hasn't always been thought about in many of the innovations and inventions that we've come across over the centuries. It's not always, the impact is not always considered. But these are the ones that that the author thought were really important and that had created the most benefit with the least amount of problems. You know, innovation requires change. And change means doing things that are new and foregoing a lot of things that are familiar. It means discomfort and uncertainty and a very real likelihood that you may be wrong. You know, all in all, it can be very scary. But it comes down to a decision. You can either ride things out, fight for the status quo, and hope that the changes you're sensing are going to slow down. Or you can think about where the world is heading, and if you can change enough to get yourself there, to be a beneficial part of the new world that we are creating. Innovation and creativity are far more likely to happen simply by being open to the idea that it can happen. That's actually one of the secrets to innovation and creativity. The expectation of great things being possible, followed by effort, is a precursor for making great things happen. Your expectations are a good barometer for what's possible. It's what Henry Ford meant when he said, "Whether you believe you can do a thing or not, you are right." Our expectations are a precursor to making great things happen. If you believe you can or you believe you can't, either way you're right. So at the end of this section in the book, he talks about 10 secrets shared by world-class creators that can help you along on your path. The first thing he says is you have to believe. You have to believe it's possible. You have to believe in yourself. You have to believe that there is a chance that this might be the right answer. And along with believing, you have to be brave. It takes courage to do something different than what has ever been before. You have to keep moving forward. There's no looking back here. The only reason we would ever look back is to learn from the past so that we can move forward to a better future. We need to practice. Practice and practice and practice again. We need to get started now. There's no time like the present. Just begin. Even if it's not going to be the right thing at this moment, start now. Look for the simplicity. It doesn't always have to be a complicated answer. Along with being brave, we need to be bold. We need to have the confidence in ourselves that this is right and this is where we're headed. Our creations, our innovations, our inventions should be helping people. They should be helping others to have a better life in some way or another. The author says that we need to stay curious and we need to stay hungry. We need to be eager for that thing that is wanting to be birthed through us. We need to stay curious about what is possible and eager for the outcome. And the final thing is how we began this month with my topic was saying yes. Say yes and have fun with it. The divine is always looking for an outlet for its creative expression. And your yes signals your willingness to be that outlet. And having fun with it, well, why not? Why not have fun more than anything else? You know, the thing about creativity is it's not about the output. It really is not about the thing or the product that you create. In our modern world, we often equate our ability to be creative with the things that we are able to produce. We think it must be a piece of art or a piece of music or an exquisite recipe or a beautiful dress. Those things are simply the product of the creative flow that is inherent within each one of us. It is wired in our DNA. It is part of who we are. You come from a family of innovators. As a matter of fact, your lineage is incredibly impressive because every single one of your ancestors had to be clever enough, had to be creative enough, and had to move fast enough to survive. Otherwise, you wouldn't even be here. Every one of your ancestors had to find a way to solve problems that they faced that they had never seen before. They had to create tools and devices to meet the unique needs of their survival. The ability to innovate, to invent, and to create is in your genes. I often love to talk about my grandmother. She was quite a character. I happen to have been named after her. I love repeating many of my grandmother's sayings. They are very clever and very much to the point, although there are quite a few of them I could never say from the platform. My grandmother was a hoot, but she was also amazing and creative. She could bring forth things that were absolutely stunning for me, but not in the way of an artist or a musician. I loved sitting with her while she made doll clothes for me. And she told me then about making undergarments for her children out of the cloth that's covered the bags of flour that she would buy at the store. She called it flour cloth. Or how she would trade her homemade butter. She was known for having high quality butter. And she would trade it for extra shoe ration coupons during the war so that all of her 6 children would have shoes for the winter. This was a woman who could open up a refrigerator at any time on any day and really, from virtually nothing, create a fantastic meal for any of the guests that showed up. She was innovative, she was creative, and she was a hoot. There's something to be said from seeking guidance from those who have gone before us, whether or not they're with us now. Here at Centers for Spiritual Living and in our philosophy, our belief is that life is eternal, that it's continuous and everlasting, and that we can all tap into that one life at any given moment. And this is a practice that we can engage in a little more consciously when we're seeking divine inspiration or guidance. When we have a problem to solve, when we're trying to come up with a new way of doing something, why not go into contemplation with those who've come before us? Imagine taking the time when you're stumped and having a conversation with Albert Einstein. Imagine if you are dealing with some difficult people who don't want to change and you are talking to Harriet Tubman. Or if you're up against an injustice that you really want to resolve, why not have a conversation with Susan B. Anthony? Or if you have any problem of any kind, talk to Benjamin Franklin. Ask those who've come before us how they would solve a problem, and then sit in the silence and listen for the response. I often do this with my grandmother, and I frequently do it with my mother now too. And every once in a while, depending on the type of situation I'm dealing with, I talk to one of the greats that have come before me. Lately, for some reason, I've been talking to Joan of Arc. I think it has to do with solving great problems with a lot of courage. Divine inspiration and creative innovations can come to you through any source. Be brave, be willing, and be open and receptive to it. There's a great gift waiting for you there. So let's take this into prayer. Our spiritual mind treatment is one of the ways that we practice actively and consciously knowing truth about situations. And so what's better than to know that we are that creative inspiration of the divine? And so if you would with me, just turn within. Allow your body to become still. And drop your shoulders and open your chest to allow that flow of energy to move through you as we commune with the divine. And so right here and right now, I know that there is only one power, one presence, one creative love intelligence, one divine guiding and directing force that is in, through, and as all of its creation. I know that one is a place of peace, of unconditional love, of infinite intelligence and wisdom. And I know that I am divinely connected to it. That the very place on which I stand is holy ground, for the presence of God is right here, right now, in me, through me, and as me. And as I know this is true for me, I know this is true for all of us, that each one of us is that divine, unique expression of the one, created in the image and likeness and endowed with all of those divine qualities. And so knowing this truth, I speak my word. I know that each one of us is an inlet and an outlet for the creative expression of the divine to flow. I know that each one of us is uniquely wired to express this creativity through our own unique innovations and inventions and designs and desires. I know that the presence of the One shows up uniquely and perfectly and beautifully through each and every one of us when we open ourselves to that flow and allow ourselves to be the channel through which God moves into expression right here and right now. And how good it is to know this truth, how good it is to feel this power and presence, how good it is to see it active right here and right now. And I release this word into that creative mind that always says yes, that is receptive and open and flowing through us at all times. I let it go and I let it be. And so it is. Amen.
Here at Center for Spiritual Living Greater Las Vegas, we are a mission and vision-driven community. We offer transformative educational opportunities, deep and meaningful moments of connection, uplifting Wednesday and Sunday services. We greatly appreciate your contributions that support the amazing work we're doing here in Southern Nevada. We have several easy ways you can contribute. We have text to give. Simply text the amount of your donation to our text to give number and you'll be prompted to enter your information. There's a link to our online donation page posted below this video where you can contribute by debit or credit card. And of course, you're always welcome to send a check to our office if that works better for you. All of your contributions go to support the great work that we're doing here in Greater Las Vegas community.
The monthly publication, Science of Mind magazine, is a treasure to be read and contemplated. Along with in-depth articles, there is a day-to-day spiritual support to be gleaned from its daily guides. Licensed practitioner Lynn Frankenberger hosts Adventures in Faith on Zoom, and you're invited to join in. This is a weekly group discussion that focuses on those daily guides and how to apply them. Check Facebook and our weekly newsletter for more details.
Keeping it real, keeping it real. Keeping it real, keeping it real. Keeping it real with Reverend Laura. Keeping it real, keeping it real. Keeping it real, keeping it real. Keeping it real with Reverend Laura.
CSL Greater Las Vegas brings you much of your favorite spiritual music every Friday at 7 p.m. with spiritual soundscapes. Enjoy performances from CSLGLV vocalists along with special guest singers. It's music for your soul. Subscribe to the CSLGLV YouTube channel to get a convenient link sent to you for each musical performance. At CSL Greater Las Vegas, it is our mission to inspire spiritual discovery through community connection, exploration, and celebration. This mission supports the all-inclusive vision of Centers for Spiritual Living worldwide, in which we envision a world that works for everyone and all of creation.